It is 2 in the morning, the baby is finally asleep, and you are staring at your phone screen in the dark, watching your bank balance slowly drain while your partner sleeps beside you. You are exhausted, you are running on caffeine and pure adrenaline, and somewhere in the back of your mind, a quiet panic is setting in about what taking 12 months off work is actually going to cost you. You know about the lost salary, but what you cannot see right now, in the quiet of the night, is the silent leak happening in the background. While you are busy raising the next generation of Australians, your retirement fund has hit a brick wall. The superannuation contributions have completely stopped. It feels like a temporary pause, just a few months away from the daily grind. But that silent pause is quietly stripping tens of thousands of dollars from your future. You are sacrificing your financial security to build your family, and it feels entirely unfair. You are not imagining this penalty, and you are definitely not doing anything wrong. The truth is, the Australian financial system was built decades ago by men who never had to choose between their career trajectory and staying home to raise an infant. It is a system that severely punishes the primary caregiver, which is still overwhelmingly women. We are dealing with an inflation rate that makes standard groceries feel like luxury items, and childcare costs in suburbs like Parramatta or Brunswick that practically wipe out a second income anyway. You are forced to navigate a penalty that the system pretends does not exist. You feel the financial anxiety because the structure itself is broken, completely ignoring the fact that unpaid care work is the very foundation that keeps the rest of the Australian economy functioning. It is not your inability to budget or save. It is a structural flaw that actively penalizes your choice to be a mother. By the time this video is over, you are going to understand exactly how much this maternity leave contribution gap is silently stealing from your future. And more importantly, you will know the exact strategies to plug that leak. I am going to show you how to claw back the $47,000 the system is trying to take from you, using completely legal, highly effective structural loopholes designed for Australian families. You will leave this conversation with a specific, bulletproof plan to protect your financial independence while you focus on your family. The real villain here is not your boss or your workplace. It is the superannuation guarantee legislation itself, which for far too long treated parental leave as a vacation rather than the most exhausting work you will ever do. Look at the raw numbers right now in Australia. If you are earning $85,000 a year and you take 12 months off to raise your child, you are missing out on over $10,000 in mandatory 12% super contributions. But that is just the immediate loss. Because of the power of compound interest, that single missing $10,000 at age 30 snowballs into a staggering $47,000 by the time you reach retirement age. The system essentially taxes you almost $50,000 for having a baby, and if you have 2 children, you are approaching $100,000 in lost future wealth. The Association of Superannuation Funds of Australia confirms that women currently retire with about a quarter less super than men. And this exact maternity leave gap is the primary driver of that massive inequity. It is a hidden tax on motherhood. I want you to think about the financial sacrifice you are currently making, and if the thought of your super flatlining while you are buying nappies makes your stomach drop, just write the word super in the comments. Because seeing that word tells me more about the silent financial burden you are carrying than any government report ever could. And it proves exactly how many Australian parents are navigating this exact same anxiety completely alone. Let us walk through exactly what this looks like across different stages of your life, because understanding the math is the only way to beat the system. Imagine you are 28 years old, living in a typical Australian suburb, maybe looking at a mortgage in the outer rings of Melbourne or Brisbane. You have worked hard since you were 18, you have a solid balance in your Australian Super or Host Plus account, and you feel okay about your trajectory. Then the baby arrives. At this stage, your focus shifts entirely to surviving the sleepless nights and figuring out how to afford formula that seems to double in price every 6 months. You are not thinking about your superannuation. You assume your partner is working, the mortgage is barely being paid, and things will eventually return to normal. But let me give you a relatability reset right here. If you have even noticed that your super balance has stopped moving, you are already ahead of 90% of new parents who do not check their accounts for 5 years after having kids. Just acknowledging the gap means you are still in control. Now, let us look at the next level. You return to work, but like many Australians, you go back part-time. Maybe you are working 3 days a week so you can manage the daycare drop-offs. Your salary drops from $85,000 to $51,000. Suddenly, your 12% super contribution is slashed almost in half. This is where I need to issue a very clear warning. The part-time trap is where the real damage happens. It is not just the 12 months of full leave. It is the subsequent 5 years of reduced hours that silently guts your retirement balance. But here is the good news. Even at this part-time stage, you are doing better than you think. You are keeping your foot in the door of the workforce, maintaining your professional skills, and contributing something to your fund. The issue is that the compound interest engine has been throttled right when it needs to be revving up. Let us move up to the third stage of this journey, where the real money is made or lost. You are now 35, maybe your kids are in primary school, and you are looking to ramp your career back up. You check your super balance and realize you are $40,000 behind where you projected you would be before you had kids. This is the moment I have seen happen so many times. When I looked at the numbers on this with everyday Australians, the sheer panic of seeing that gap is overwhelming. But this is exactly where we can use the Australian tax system to fight back. Spousal contributions and government co-contributions are the secret weapons here. If your partner is working full-time and you are on leave or working reduced hours, your partner can contribute up to $3,000 into your super account. Not only does this keep your balance growing, but the Australian Taxation Office will actually give your partner a tax offset of up to $540 for doing it. It is literally free money from the government to reward you for keeping your super alive. Furthermore, if you are earning under $45,000 while working part-time, and you manage to put just $1,000 of your own post-tax money into your super, the government will chip in another $500. That is a 50% guaranteed return on your investment, completely risk-free, backed by the Australian government. You see, the ladder of financial recovery is not about magically finding $10,000 while you are on unpaid leave. It is about systematically using the tax rules to redirect small amounts of money to ensure your compound interest never flatlines. It is about ensuring your partner understands that your retirement is a joint family asset, not an individual responsibility. When you view it as household wealth rather than individual wealth, the gap stops feeling like a personal failure and starts looking like a joint financial project. But here is the truth that absolutely nobody in the finance industry wants to say out loud, and it is going to completely change how you view your household income. The biggest financial risk to an Australian woman is not stock market volatility, and it is not rising interest rates. The single biggest financial risk to an Australian woman is relying entirely on her partner's superannuation to fund her retirement. Statistically, 1 in 3 Australian marriages will end in divorce. I know nobody wants to hear that while they are picking out baby names, but if you allow your super to stagnate for 10 years while your partner's balance skyrockets, you are essentially gambling your entire financial future on a coin toss. You must protect your own name on your own balance, because the structural penalty of motherhood does not care how much you love your family. The reason so many brilliant, capable Australians ignore this problem is deeply psychological. When you are on maternity leave, every single dollar feels painfully precious. You are rationing money for electricity bills, worrying about the rising cost of petrol, and calculating whether you can afford the good brand of nappies. Taking money away from your immediate survival to put into an account you cannot touch for 30 years feels incredibly reckless. It feels irresponsible to lock money away when your family needs it right now. You look at that money and think it should be in the offset account, not locked in super. I want you to know that this instinct is completely natural. You are wired to protect your family in the present moment, but awareness of this exact trap is your way out. You have to realize that starving your future self does not actually protect your present self. It just delays the financial stress until you are too tired to work anymore. Here is exactly how you fix this, starting this week. I am going to give you 3 clear steps to take control of your superannuation right now. First, sit down with your partner this Sunday and set up an automatic spousal contribution of $50 a week into your super account. You log straight into your partner's banking app, set up a recurring transfer via BPay directly into your fund, whether that is UniSuper, Australian Retirement Trust, or whoever you are with. It takes 10 minutes, it costs less than a decent takeaway dinner, and it keeps your compound interest engine running. Second, jump onto the myGov portal and check your eligibility for the superannuation co-contribution. If you are working a couple of shifts a week and your income is under the threshold, manually transfer $1,000 before the end of the financial year. The government will hand you $500 for free. Do not leave Australian tax dollars sitting on the table when they are begging to give it to you. Third, consolidate any old, lost super accounts. If you worked a random hospitality job in your early 20s and left a few $1,000s in an old retail employee's superannuation trust account, those fees are bleeding you dry while you are on leave. Use the ATO service through myGov to roll it all into your primary fund immediately. Motherhood is the greatest investment you will ever make in the future of this country, so absolutely refuse to let the system convince you that you should retire in poverty because of it. If this conversation gave you the clarity you needed today, please subscribe and turn on notifications so we can keep building your wealth together. Your financial independence is worth protecting. You have got this entirely.